What's going on, guys? It's your boy Alec, aka Python Don, and welcome to part 6 of Project Yoshimitsu, my $100 eBay turbo build on my BMW E46. In this video series, I'll be taking you through a detailed and thorough journey of building an E46 turbo start to finish, with information on every part required and work through what it actually takes to get this job done. Sit back, get comfortable, and join me in these long-form, in-depth episodes as we take this BMW E46 to the next level. In the last episode, we completed a major milestone for Project Yoshimitsu, mounting the intercooler and sorting out all of our plumbing to bolt the cold side to the throttle body and hot side to the turbo. We also finally got to sort out the turbo drain design and routing it down to the pan. With the plumbing and drain complete, we have officially installed all the major turbo components and can confidently say it is possible to run a top mount turbo setup and keep AC without any modifications to the AC system. With the airflow related components installed, the amount of cold air that will be flowing into this engine will be immense. And to match that new amount of air flowing in, we need a similar amount of fuel. And that's exactly what we get into in this episode. We're opening up the gas tank and removing our old stock fuel pump and replacing it with a much more powerful setup. Once finished, we'll be able to push more than double the amount of fuel into the combustion chamber. With the new enhancements creating more fuel and more air, the evolution of this engine will be completed, transforming it from an inline 6 that made a cool 225 horsepower to an unruly beast, pushing more than 450. Without further ado, boys, let's continue on our journey to a turboed E46. Welcome, guys, to episode 6. It's almost kind of cute how small this items list is for this episode, but like we do in all our episodes, let's go over the parts I have on this table. This should be a nice, sweet episode, not too long compared to our other stuff because, yeah, you can see here, there's really not a whole lot we have to do, but let's get into it. We'll start off with, on the left here, we have our fuel filter. This is an OEM fuel filter unit. These fuel filters on our BMWs actually have a built-in fuel pressure regulator, which we will run a hose to, which there is a hose to right now that goes to the F connector. Might as well get the fuel filter replaced. We're in there doing some fueling stuff, and I think what's in my car might actually be the original fuel filter from when this car was, built in 2003. So definitely something you want to replace since we are, pushing all this new power through it, all this new fuel through it. And with that fuel pressure regulator, it's pretty neat. It's actually good for almost up to like 500 horsepower. So it'll regulate the fuel pressure based on boost reference, which is that port that we tapped in last episode, that F connector piece that we connected and plugged in. It's going to be plugged into this guy here. So I am jumping ahead a little bit because right now on this puppy, we are still waiting for welding to get done. Quite a few days actually from when we dropped this off at the welding shop. In that meantime, I actually got something important done, which we'll get to later. Can't wait. We got to get this done, boys. I'm so excited to drive this car. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do the fuel pump episode. I got some time on my hands. I got to wait a few days to get all that done. So see if we can get this done in that amount of time. So anyways, that's pretty much it for the fuel filter. Next up, we have AEM high flow fuel pump, a 340. So this will be good for the amount of power we'll be looking for, 400 to 450 or so, and good for the injectors as well. So we're gonna need to be putting this where the fuel pump goes right now, that's in the fuel tank. So we're gonna be swapping these out and replacing it with that. And with that, because this new fuel pump is requiring a lot more power to run it, we need to run a relay to be able to handle that power and not blow anything up or melt any thin cables. Because if we were to run this off the thin cables that we had still in the car, no good, no good. Down here, just a corrugated line. We'll replace that. There's a line already like this in the car, and it's always good to just get that replaced. This is a fuel cell bulk fitting, and this is going to allow us to have the thicker wire on top and the thinner wire coming off of this guy into here. So we're going to connect it like that. And then this is something I bought just for like an ease of installation purchase. You don't necessarily need this, but this is a sleeve that will expand and contract as you tighten this. And this fuel pump, because these are slimmer than the OEM fuel pumps, this sleeve, it'll slide into this sleeve, and then this sleeve will slide into the regular slot and click into place without having to zip tie stuff and all that. So it just makes for a smoother installation. And like I said here, yeah, the relay that we're gonna need to power all this, but that's really it, guys. Pretty small layout here, but you know what that means. We are getting close to the end of this. Just have whatever's left in this box. All this stuff is piping that we're selling and don't need anymore because we've pretty much sorted that out here. But yeah, a few more episodes to go, and we should have a first start in this puppy. So I'm super excited, guys. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the fueling. Let's get started on, yeah, getting this fuel system upgraded. So let's go. We'll begin by getting the fuel filter replacement out of the way. The fuel filter is located on the driver's side, hidden under a panel to the left of the clutch sleeve cylinder. You can see some hard lines running to the back side of it. We'll give the area a good spray with some brake clean and remove the panel covering it. Alright boys, so we're under here. I got the garage door open and the fan open because that brake clean was pretty intense, and now we're about to open some gasoline as well. So always good to spray these because it was so dirty. You could see it's even hard to get, you know, a screwdriver in here. And these are some odd kind of clamps because, you know, the T part that you have for twisting that you would usually have, that slit for this, is like not really there. So you really gotta clean this up good. I'm gonna replace these clamps with some new ones because these are just old style and they're crusty. And you can see here too on this hose, it's really bad. I'm gonna find this hose diameter, and later when we're done, I'll go back under this car on my own and replace this hose. Just snip some off and replace it because it really is tired. That hose needs to be replaced 100%. See how gunky this is? It's freaking crazy. Not sure how much gasoline is gonna be in here, just because its car has been sitting and there really is no more fuel pressure, but these lines are connected straight down from the gas tank. So I got a little catch can right here. Maybe it would be smart of me, these are all loose. It would be smart of me to pinch these. I did bring some clamps, so we can do that right now. And we gotta kind of hurry because I got a storm coming in, and I'm not gonna lie, this area is extremely prone to lightning, like really bad, to a point where I've been working and swear to God, I think a lightning bolt hit probably 25 feet from this garage. It fucking made me jump out of my skin. It was crazy. Never been that close to lightning before, but that was for sure an experience. But anyways, I got these guys. I don't know if it's gonna do anything, but I'm gonna try to give them a go. They fit. This hose is so brittle that just me doing that is damaging them. All right, you guys really just want to spend the next 5-10 minutes just loosening these crappy clamps and just sliding them off, but these guys are not coming off this fuel pump without a fight, that's for sure. This, I think, really is the original fuel pump. So if that's the case, these have been on here for 20 years. So yeah. Then on top of that, I don't even know if I want to move forward. This hose is so crusty, and this is a fuel line. So if this hose is cracked and we're pouring fuel on the ground, that's how your car burns to the ground. So I don't know, I might just pause right now and come back when I actually have some fresh hose and come back to this, because yeah, this is, I don't know. I don't really trust this hose. I'll show you guys in a second, but it's really tired, like really tired.
It's the abominable hoe man.
Alrighty boys, look what we got here. 5/16 inner diameter is what you're gonna be looking for. I got 18 inches of it, which is more than enough to do all these lines, but there's your part number up there. Got this at AutoZone for like 11 bucks, but you're gonna need to find some specific hose rated. I think it's JR09 rating, which can handle the pressure and the temperature and the type of liquid that's inside the lines, which in this case is fuel. So this actually meets those requirements. So this is gonna be perfect. We can finally get these guys off. So it could be a little bit more rough on them now as well, because honestly, we don't need to worry about them anymore. So yeah, let's just keep working these off. It hasn't broken free yet. Holy crap. Let me see, this one can come out no problem. Just wondering if I could, there we go. I'm like, is that just gonna keep draining? I hope it stops eventually. Quite a bit in the fuel filter, jeez. Let me get some fan going because this gas is gonna get me high as a kite in just a moment. All right, let's make our way over to the other side of the fuel filter so you can see where the regulator side is. All right, we flipped over to the back side of the filter. Some gasoline is still coming out, but a lot less than what initially was draining out there. So we just gotta loosen these guys and slide this off. Boom. Just like that. All right, let's install the new hose on the new fuel pump and get it back in here. We are ready for reinstallation. Got my new hoses on, new clamps facing the right direction here. We're ready to roll, baby. Let's go. We're just gonna start off, hit this area with a little silicone. Just slide that on. Just like that. And we'll slide our clamp up. What's nice about these guys is they are 6mm heads, so it's nice and easy to do this now. Instead of having to use the flathead, you kind of have some choices now between a flathead if you really needed to and the 6mm, which is nice and ideal. Now it's going to be able to rotate pretty freely right now because I still have the silicone in there, but yeah, once that silicone dries up, that rubber is going to really start to grip. So that's what's nice about it. All right, back towards the back side here, same thing. Just hit these real quick with some silicone. Just like that. And the other one, just like that. I want slack across the board. All right, let's go in for our tightening. All right, guys, I'm happy with that. Now we could put the bracket on. Yeah, there's these two little holes. You'll see slits for the two prongs. Beautiful. All right, last thing we just got to do is install our hard line that runs to the F connector from the sucking jet pump. It goes into this fuel pressure regulator here. Now, I don't know if I need to put clamps on these, but I'm just going to use some zip ties for now. It didn't have it from factory, and I know it's running vacuum and stuff, but I really don't, I'm not sure if you need the two clamps on these. I really don't have clamps this size, so I'm just gonna go with some of these for now, and then maybe do a little bit of digging online, but I don't know. It moves around a little too easily for me. I know I have silicone on there, but this is something I'm gonna do some research on, and I can just update you guys later.
And just like that, we have our new fuel filter installed with our new fuel rated hose and clamps. Just a quick reinstallation of the foam weather seal and the fuel filter cover and we're complete.
Alrighty boys, I think it's time. We're ready to take out this fuel pump. So these chairs, I think you just pull up on them like that if I'm not mistaken, and they eventually pop just like that. I don't know what happens from here. I think you just pull up and out and try something. Yeah, you just gotta force it. All right, let's get this out of here. Nice leather, just be careful with it.
All right, so if you guys want to see something cool, all those chips, they look like debris and stuff. Those are actually, even all that stuff up there, that's actually all the remaining insulation from inside the car. I made a video a long time ago, a few years back, about getting rid of the crayon smell in the car. And it actually comes from all that insulation. It's like old petrol-related chemical that they use to make that. And you know, over time the car gets older, it starts to make that crayon smell. So if you want to get rid of the crayon smell, this is the last location that I have it in my car. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes just getting rid of all of it, and then that'll expose the fuel pump, which is actually right there. So I'm going to work on that just for a little bit and get that last little bit out of here. That way when the car's all done, put a little freshener in here, everything smells fresh, and the crayon smell will be like permanently gone.
Oh, the famous BMW crayon smell. The majority of this insulation can be found behind the trunk liners covering the strut towers. With this last bit out, the car should be free of it completely.
All right, guys, now that we got all that cleaned up, looks really good. Actually, really happy with how that came out. We are ready to attack the covers here on the fuel pump. So obviously make sure your battery's off. But these are 10 mils, I want to say. Yep, they're on there very loosely. Guess you really don't want to be using electrical equipment, even an electric ratchet. The initial, press of the button could trigger, a little spark to get the motor going, and yeah, don't want that around these vapors here. So gonna do everything manually. Get this cover off, boys. Let's get this done. Aha! And then you'll have your fuel pump with the your hose there and your connector, your electrical connector, your little pull tab here. I don't know how much you guys can see. It's kind of tucked in here, but you got this ring with ridges on it, which we're going to hit with a hammer now. But I'm going to vacuum up as much of this dust and debris as I can, and then we can get started on the next step. All right, I think we're good enough there. Let's go ahead and start hitting on this ring, baby, and get this puppy out of here. Before we do that, I'll just take this electrical harness off. Let me see. This shit is so dusty, it's crazy. It looks like one of those that, it's one of these guys. Just like that. Beautiful. Counterclockwise. Clockwise would be this way. Counterclockwise would be this way. Gotta hit it at a better angle, maybe. Let me vacuum up a little more because I'm just loosening up a bunch of shit. Keep going. So I guess my blind ass didn't notice. This must be factory. There's like some goo here that attached to the fuel pump itself and then the ring. So pulling this glue back should help me loosen this, I'm hoping. But you could see here a little close-up of all that fine sand and stuff. I'm just gonna keep vacuuming and trying to loosen it up and get it all out of here. And we'll try it again. Hopefully not smash my hand. Oh, what a pain in the ass. I'm gonna have to get in here, guys, and get in your way for a second.
After smashing my hand a few times and what felt like 15 minutes of straight hammering on this collar, it finally broke through.
It's definitely gonna be at the angle you're hitting it at. The lower you can go, the more force you're driving it to spin and not, into it, obviously. This fuel pump definitely has never came off. Woo! Now I'm like extra cautious with debris and stuff because ever since removing it from that intake. Yeah, okay, anyways, we just got to pull up on this tab here, I think. Just like that. Now, let's see. Our harness is out of the way. Oh yeah, you could smell those fumes. Well, let me sit this back there.
Getting that hose off is not easy. Most of these lines have never been touched in 20 years, so they're on there good. Be very careful not to damage this hose when removing it from the fuel pump, as replacing it may require dropping the entire gas tank. Unfortunately, my phone died right as I was about to pull the fuel pump out of the tank, but you get the idea. Oh, and here's a quick shot from inside the gas tank for anyone that's interested. With the fuel pump finally removed from the gas tank, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at what we'll be working on.
All right, here we are, guys. Now, of course, the camera died right as I was pulling the pump out of the car, but I have it here on the table. Let's take a quick moment to just take a kind of a closer look at the fuel pump, because honestly, this is my first time ever seeing one in person, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty straightforward with how it works, but here you have, just the body of the fuel pump here, and you can actually see, if I hold it like this, the OEM fuel pump is that silver cylinder there, that thick boy. You can kind of see it from this angle here, plumbed in with the hose there. Here you got a little gasket that is in between the body of the car and then that ring at the top to just keep the smell of fuel and stuff inside there. We have our connector for the harness up top, our nipple here for where the fuel flows out of when this pump is running, shooting fuel out of that nozzle there. And then we have the fuel pump here, fuel filter, and then this is pretty neat. You can kind of see here a better idea for how the fuel level works. So you have your little floater there attached to this arm, and you can see the two green wires there soldered to that tab. But as it goes up and down that level there, that metal tab kind of makes contact with those metal points there, and then sending a signal to the car, letting it know, the fuel level in the car. So pretty cool. Got your line there, which we have a replacement one there. So yeah, that's more or less the fuel pump. You have this kind of spring-loaded feature, and you can kind of see that there. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe something to do with fuel level and stuff, but yeah, there's like these bushings here as well, which hold this whole thing kind of in place. We'll remove those in a moment, but if you follow those green lines, you can kind of see up here where they connect into. You got two there together, and then two right down there, red and black, power and ground. And that's kind of foreshadowing what we're going to be doing up here. So let's get into that now. All right, so really what we're going to be doing here is removing the old factory fuel pump and replacing it now with the AEM high flow, high power fuel pump. One thing to note right away is you could see just how much thinner it is than the OEM fuel pump. And that is why I bought this sleeve. So we're going to be sliding this into that sleeve, and that sleeve will click into place here in this chamber relatively easy. I think that's how that's supposed to work. And then now that we have this new fuel pump, it's going to be requiring, one, more power to go through it, and two, to be, ran to power in the first place. We obviously can't use, the factory harness location here where it would slot in. We will be reusing it and plugging this plug in just for fuel level, because it is kind of part of the same harness. So we have fuel level on one side and then the power to the pump on the other side, all connected through that one connector there. So in order to run the wiring for the new fuel pump through the top of this fuel pump head here, we're going to be using something called a bulkhead fitting. Now I've seen these and I've seen what they look like when they're wired up, but I never really knew how they worked until playing with it. So you can unscrew this cap here, and if you take it off, you can look through these holes here. This is a bulkhead fitting for the proper size gauge wire that I have here on that relay. But essentially with this fitting, you take off this cap, you can run your thick wires through out the bottom, and then you can then tap those thick wires into these guys here. And when you go to slide this cap back on and twist it into place, these holes right here will actually, as this cap gets twisted and walks down these threads, will start to collapse and compress the rubber that's inside there. So pretty cool. That's what's actually creating your seal from the top part of the fuel pump to the bottom part that's submerged in fuel. So that's actually how these work. That was always kind of something I was looking up. I was like, how do you wire these? And I feel like the question was such a simple question that I never was finding my answer, because people were looking up something more like technical, like routing 40 wires into one through a bulkhead or something like that. Yeah, so it's very simple, but just need to have it in front of me to figure out how that worked. And we're gonna be drilling that in through the top of the head here. It's going to be, and then the wires will be coming out of here, and then the other wires will be going down and into, you know, this connector there to power the fuel pump. So that's more or less how we're going to install the fuel pump into the fuel pump bracket assembly, whatever you want to call it. And then to power that to the battery, we need a relay. This relay is from Rally Road, and it's really nice. It's actually designed for fuel pump application. It even comes with a diagram here to tell you how to wire it and which one of these wires is going to what. But essentially, you don't want to run your fuel pump directly to the battery because obviously that's not smart. And we need to switch to engage the fuel pump when the signal wire, which is this power wire here, from the traditional harness that runs to the computer in the BMW, is telling this pump to turn on. That was worded terribly. So yeah, relay is a must-have when installing an aftermarket fuel pump in your car because yeah, going to be running more current, more power through these, and you don't want to run that through those small lines. You need a little bit of a thicker gauge, and relay is going to help you keep things safe. So let's get into it. Let's first start off with just getting this fuel pump disassembled a bit and removing it from the frame itself. Now real quick, as I mentioned earlier, you can take a look at the wiring here, and it'll kind of give you your answer on which wire in the harness in the car to tap into for our trigger switch for turning on this pump. So if we look here, we got two greens, a red and a black, and that red one is at the bottom portion here on the plug. So it looks like that red one is going to be this pin right there. So I'm going to mark that real quick. All right. And that's just telling me here which one is the power. And then I have a 2-pin here, and it's the left side there, just reminding me as well, just in case, I don't know when this is covered. We'll mark that, and then we can tap into that later when we're ready to do wiring, and we know which one is for power. All right, so we're gonna start off with getting these bushing looking things out of here. They look like they just kind of slide into place. Yeah, they're what's holding the body of this plastic piece and the pump together. So we need to get these out. I think we're just gonna hit them like this. We don't want to damage these because we are going to be reusing them. So yeah, you can just kind of like twist and wiggle them out. I'll do this side here now as well. Wonder if you can even do this with it. Nope. Looks like it's best to do one corner at a time. Just like that. All right, now we can see how it's free from the body there. So I'm just gonna see if I could, can I get this bracket kind of up and out? It looks like it wants to stay there. So how do we get it to separate from the chassis? Okay, so the plastic is a little flexible. You can just push it on one side, and twist it like that. Just get it out there. All right, now we can just pull the oil filter off. And I want to say this guy just slides right down. Tab here of some sort. All right, what else? How do we get this sleeve off of it? It looks like it goes upwards. You can see this little like lip here. So that lip's catching on the plastic frame there. And I really want to be careful here. Yeah, it just needs to be kind of pushed like this. Oh, almost. Need gloves for it. That shit hurts like hell. All right, I got you guys a little closer in this part. See this little ridge here on the fuel pump? That's just what clicks into place. So if I push this guy, I got one side, kind of see him there. There we go. Aha! Boom, just like that. Now, if you look at the fuel filter here, this kit that we bought, it's replicated this look and shape. So when I slide the new pump into this sleeve here, I can just put the sleeve back into this here and it'll click right in place. Just like the original fuel pump does. All right, now all that's remaining, connecting the fuel pump to the body is the hose and the 2 power wires in the back, power and ground. And let's work on this hose here. Now this hose is, I think, on here really, really well, I've heard. So it's another Audiker clamp. You just got to work it loose. Fuck. that's gonna hurt. Fuck. Those clamps are an absolute pain in the ass. Golly. All right, we're off. Now, even more fun. We gotta get the hose off of this. I'm gonna take off really quick just the power connectors, just because they're in the way a little bit. What are you supposed to do with these spade connectors, huh? You're supposed to push them from the back? Now, these spade connectors are a little unique, as they have these little holes in them. And those holes are like a piece of metal bent so that you can't pull the spade connector off, like a safety precaution. So these don't just, I don't know, vibrate off of the fuel pump and you have a fuel cut while driving, or your car won't be able to turn on. So you just got to take a pin and push those little tabs out, and then you can slide these off. All right, now we just have this hose here, which I'm just gonna keep tugging on. Well, I'm not gonna be reusing this, so I guess I could just cut it, right? Just like that. Cut like a little slit in it and try to see if that helps pull this off. Holy cannoli. These are supposed to be on there good because there's a lot of fuel pressure coming through here, but that is an understatement. I would not have gotten that off had I not cut slits into those.
Double kill.
All right, we are officially freed up. First thing I want to do is, since we have the body completely free and easy to manipulate, here I want to tap the bulkhead fitting. So we can do this now while there's nothing else attached to it, just making it a little easier. But I was thinking of putting it right about there. That's where I've seen others put it. Give me a good location on the backside here to, you know, just a nice opening and stuff. And I still have, you know, the tab here to be able to pull up on, and I'll still have some space here to put the hose on and stuff. So I just got to be a little bit conscious of that, but for the most part, I think that's what we're going to go with. So let's go ahead and mark it, and let's begin with that. We'll do a pilot hole, and then we'll go in for the drill here. All I have really is a this fitting here, and I looked up and just kind of was looking at the thickness of and the diameter of this guy, and I think we're going to take it up all the way to about 9/16 here, and that should be enough to allow us to get this on. So without further ado, let's get this puppy working. All right. See how we're looking. One more step, boys. That's it. There we go. All right, so I think I took it 5/8. Still pretty good fit, pretty tight, but if I shimmy it a little bit, you'll see I can get it all the way down. Beautiful. Check that out. After this, all you need to do is run your wires, take your collar here, then thread the collar in from the bottom, and that's what's creating the seal with this gasket up here. So I think we're looking pretty good, boys. We're gonna pull this back out and let's get into the wiring section. We'll get all that done and put it back in the car. All right, so here we are with our relay and some wiring stuff laid out, and I just wanna quickly go over this part because I've seen some videos and this part is kind of confusing to a lot. So even for me, when I was kind of learning about exactly what I need to do, there were still some answers that I didn't have that I have now. So I want to kind of just lay it out for you guys real quick. So looking back at the fuel pump assembly here, we've talked about those two green wires for the level sensor and these two guys here, power and ground for the old fuel pump itself with these spade connectors that were attached to those tabs. Now, theoretically, you could just plug this fuel pump right into those guys, make some connectors for them, or just you know, solder them together. And that would work. It would work enough to power the fuel pump to, you know, power the injectors, maybe the stock injectors you'd have in the car and stuff. But in this scenario, because we need to push more fuel than the previous fuel pump was rated for, we need more energy to go through this fuel pump than these wires are capable of. So if I were to just plug this in with the new fuel pump, the signal that would be coming out of these wires and the energy that would be coming out of these wires would just be enough, rated enough for what the car was rated for factory, which is, let's say, you know, 30 PSI or whatever fuel pressure it was going to be able to create is all limited by these guys here. So that's why we need the relay. The relay is going to allow us to push power directly from the battery to the fuel pump through these wires as a trigger. So being able to give the fuel pump direct power source from the battery, aka a lot more energy through it, aka more fuel flow, but without burning up these wires and causing a fire. So that's why we need the relay. So with that being said, we're still going to need these guys, and I'll tell you what for now. So on the diagram here that comes from Rally Road, you guys can pause it right here and just look at it. It's really nicely organized, but essentially it's telling you I have the relay in the orientation of the diagram. So I can show you right now what we're going to be doing. This side goes directly to the battery positive terminal. This side here is going to go to the red on the fuel pump. The black side on the fuel pump is going to go to somewhere in the car with the ground, and they've provided some extra wires here to give you the length you need. So red side to the red part of the relay, black side here is going to go to some extensions, which is then going to go to somewhere in the car. And then these two, white and black, these are our trigger wires. So these is what's going to be getting a signal to open and close this door here to allow the current through or not. So that's all these are going to do. These are the ones we're going to be tapping into here. So essentially when I turn the car on, the signal coming from this front DME box all the way to this fuel pump is then touching these wires to tell this to close and connect the circuit. When these are not triggered, aka the key is in position 0 or whatever, it's going to break the connection between these two guys here. So that's all we're really doing. One thing also to talk about is on the fuse here, on the diagram it says they have a fuse in there rated for 25 amps. There's actually a 30 amp fuse in here. It's just this little cover here, you pull up on it and just pull it apart, and you'll see in here it's a 30 amp fuse, right? Well, I looked up the power ratings for this fuel pump, and at max pressure, it's running around 18 amps. So what I'm going to do is 30 amps is too far away from 18 amps for this fuse to then break. So I'm going to put a fuse in there that's like 20 amps. So if I push anything over 18, which is already full capacity for this motor, at 20 amps it's going to break, which is going to protect this motor better, because if this doesn't burst until 30 and I'm already pushing this motor 25, 26, and it's rated at max at 18, I could fry that motor and burn it out. So just something to note, get a fuse that's closer to your max amp rating on your fuel pump, which you can look up online. Obviously, depending on the size fuel pumps, that rating will be higher. So if it was a higher flowing fuel pump, you'll have a higher rating there, and that's where maybe the 30 amp would come into play. But it's not that high of a flow. It's only a 340. A 20 will do for this here. So I'm going to swap that out with a 20. But yeah, so the first step for this is to locate a position at where I want to put the relay and the ground for the black side of that cable there. And from there, we'll know our routing lengths and everything. So let's start off with finding where we're going to mount the relay, and then from there, it'll tell us what we need and our length of wires.
To begin, we'll make our way into the trunk where the battery is located and remove the liner that is covering the passenger side strut tower. With the trunk liner removed and out of the way, we can take a closer look at what our options are for relay and ground locations.
All right, guys, check it out. So I did a little looking around here, just kind of checking out everything I have. Some cars, they'll I've seen guys, they like to mount the relays right there, but looks like I already have a relay there for some reason. But while I was up there checking it out, I did notice, check this out. This is a ground for back here. So I think I want to use that ground location right there since there's already something there. And then looking around, I'm like, where could I place the relay? And I was thinking maybe I could use some of these holes up here and do like a nut through the relay bracket right here. But look what I found down here. There's a stud just above the battery right there. And it happens to be the same size and thread pitch. This 10 mil nut right here threads right onto it. Look at that. So this is from the engine cover in the very beginning when I took that off. And since we got the gold valve cover, boys, we don't need that engine cover anymore. So this will be perfect. I'm thinking of mounting the relay like this, a little upside down action, run my wires nice and cleanly up through here, follow it, and then I'll come out where the seat is. I'm gonna grab my power from, I think this one right there. We'll just take that nut off and slide it onto that stud there, put the nut back on it, and we'll have power. So make a really nice and clean setup. So yeah, I'm really happy with those two locations. I thought maybe I was gonna have to ground it somewhere near the fuel pump up there, but this is gonna be perfect. So let me get my relay in place, and then we can start measuring length, and see if we need to extend any of these. But yeah, we're looking good. All right, so let's just take my relay, put this guy upside down, just like that. Just leave it like that for now. I can tighten it down later. Our power is right here, so actually we'll be totally fine just using this spot right here. So we're good there with length. You can just tuck it somewhere up against, you know, this bracket here or something. Just keep it nice. So we're good there. And then we just have our trigger wires, which are these guys here, and our positive. Let's run those. Let's fold these seats down. We're gonna go on the back side of that box there, just keeping it clean. Now I got some wiring here for my subs that I left. So just in case I ever want to go back to having a sub back here. But yeah, we'll have it like that. Stand this back up. And then let's see what we got on the other end. All right, I'm gonna come up in through here. All right, let's see what we got. Aha, we got a purple wire down here. You guys can't see it probably, but I think I'm gonna follow that routing. This whole thing can come off. Let's see if I can get the wires through to this purple one. Get it down and under. But it's just right there. That's crazy. I might have to, I don't know, might have to extend all of it just a little bit, I'd say. What do you guys think? It's kind of, we're close. Honestly, I think we're a little too close. Trigger wires go through here. I mean, the harness is gonna have to be plugged in no matter what, so they don't fit, they don't have enough length. Okay, let's keep it looking. All right, I was doing a little bit of looking around. We're just figuring out here where to mount the relay. It's not that important if it's on a stud or not. So I have this 3M double-sided tape, and I was thinking of maybe just putting some strips on the relay here and then just mounting it like this, just, you know, pushing it in place. I'll clean this up with some alcohol really well, but then from there, that'll give me the extra few, you know, inches I need. More or less I had it down here, so you're talking almost a good foot. That'll give us the extra length we'll need. We'll still be able to mount to everything else back here. So I think we're gonna go with that. So yeah, with that being said, we could start working on getting our ends snipped and crimped with our fittings. I need to check what size stud and fitting we're gonna put there. So yeah, guess we can start with those two. Let's do that real quick. All right, let's see what we got here. It's a, I think a 12 gauge wire for the power, which is yellow. And I think we're looking like this guy. Let's see. Yep, that's gonna be perfect. Okay, so we'll use this for power, and then ground is a little bit thinner of a gauge, so I think we're gonna go blue, and I think probably this one. We got a 10 mil for that nut there. Actually, we don't even need to take the nut off. I can kind of see the stud. What are we looking like there? Money. That's gonna be perfect. Okay, we're good. So we know this for this power with the fuse on it, and this is gonna be for the ground that we're gonna run from the fuel pump all the way to this ground here. I like that. Alrighty, boys. Welcome to the wiring station. I have my heat and shrink connectors here and stuff when we go to do the fuel pump side of things. I got my little heat gun here from Amazon, janky boy. Yeah, we're pretty much ready to roll. Let me get this out of here. Let's just get the wiring side out of it. So the first two things I want to get done are just the 10 gauge side for the ground, and then we'll do battery side here. And then after that, everything else is going to be related to actually, you know, connecting two different ends together like this guy here and stuff. So we'll get into that and the fuel pump assembly because it's all going to have to go down in one shot. So anyways, let's do the ground end of this ground cable extension here. A good twist. These are nice. They got some sealant in them when you go to heat shrink it, and creates an even better seal. Feed it in. Then we'll just slide our cover on. Looks like it fell. Interesting. hot as shit. Oh, our sleeve idea didn't work. I don't know what I did there. Maybe I didn't put it up enough on the, I think it's overkill anyways, to be honest. The more I look at it, this shit seals pretty damn well. So I'm happy with that. We're gonna skip the shrink tubing part. So let's do the power side now. So let's just do the same thing here. Oh yeah, that's nice. All right, we'll let that cool off a sec. My finger is absolutely on fire, but we look like we're good. We got our ground side and our power side done. All right, so now we're gonna wire up our fuel pump wiring. We got our red thick gauge wire, which we need to connect to here. And then we got our black, which we need to connect to the other side of the ground we just made. Now, because these are 10 gauge wire or 12 gauge, and this bulkhead fitting is meant to seal that size wire, we first need to put it through the bulkhead fitting before we can do, you know, the soldering together. If I do this outside of the fuel cell, then I won't be able to separate this and pull it through with this clip here. So we kind of have to get it all done in one shot. So what I'm gonna do, we got the power and ground wires here. Just gonna snip those off. So they're these guys right here, and just be careful not to hit the green ones because we still need those. Like that. All right, now we can slide our fuel pump in our bracket. The lip goes towards the top, just like that. And we'll slide our clamp on. I'm not sure how up and down on this sleeve this needs to be, but I'm gonna put it right in the middle just to be safe, like that. And we'll tighten this down. All right, we got our sleeve here, and I want to actually put it at its furthest bottom setting because I was just looking at the fuel pump here, and when I took out the old filter, it was sitting above this U-shaped bracket there. So I need as much clearance as I can get at the bottom where the filter is going to go. So I'm going to slide it up quite a bit and hit it there. I think that'll do it. Yeah. If I do need to change orientation, I don't know, filter can be just spun on this bottom lip here, but if I need to change orientation for the top here, for where the pump is going to, you know, feed into the nipple at the top, or the feed and stuff, I think I'll be able to just loosen this while it's in its casing and spin it around if I need to. So I think we're good there. Now we can just slide the sleeve on top and just click it into place, just like that. And it just spins however you need to get it in there. And these 3 tabs are going to be those same, you know, chassis tabs to get it back into this. Now we're doing all this because I want to see the length. I'm going to plug the harness in. I'm just going to rough up, you know, right here. We'll rough up the length. I'm going to cut it probably right about here. Just like that. I still need to attach it into the thicker gauge wires. So I just wanted to do this just to get an idea for placement, where I'm going to put it, and the length that I needed for this. So we're good there. I'm going to take this harness back off, and then we can work on it with the fuel cell bulk fitting and everything all in one shot like I said. So let's do that now. All right, we're going to start off by taking our bulkhead fitting, and let's get it into this fuel pump for the last time. I'm going to push it in here like this. This gasket, I don't remember if the gasket should be on the top part or the bottom. What do you guys think? All right, we do the gasket underneath. I'm pulling this guy off. Oh, there's 2. Jeez, look at that. So maybe even better, we'll do a gasket on top. Even that makes more sense, actually. Okay, gasket on top, and then the gasket on the bottom. So try that one more time. We'll feed it through. Then we'll put this gasket in here. We'll get it all the way down the threads, and then we'll slide the collar on it, and then we'll thread the collar down. And then I'll just give it a good old, oh yeah, you can see I'm squishing the shit out of that gasket there. I think that's gonna work though. Leave it like that. I need to go fucking crazy here and kill everything. So, all right, let's get our wires up to the top. Push it all the way through. All right, and then we can work with this to connect them to the harness. So let's do that now.
With the bulkhead fitting attached and our power and ground wires sorted, it's finally time to begin wiring and assembly of the actual fuel pump. Wiring up the harness to the 10 gauge wire through the bulkhead fitting was a little tricky. These solder shrink tube fittings I had ended up not working out as the heat gun wasn't getting hot enough to melt the solder around the wires. I wasn't too happy with the result, so I ended up redoing the wires to this. Male and female spade connectors with their own heat shrinking around them. Much easier to set up and a solid connection. Next up, we have the new plastic fuel hose to get onto the fuel pump and chassis. I'm also including some worm clamps just to be safe since we'll be pushing quite a lot more PSI through this line. These plastic hoses are notoriously hard to get onto the fuel pump, so be ready. Once the hose is prepped onto the body, we can prepare the fuel pump. We want the fuel pump ready in its sleeve and bracket, so when we put it on the hose, all we have to do after is place it back in the housing. This here is the correct orientation of the bracket, with the arm on the back angled downward. With the bushings reinstalled and everything tightened down, we're ready to get the hose onto the pump. A good tip is to use some heat on the plastic to help soften the hose and make it easier to slide onto the nipple. Careful not to overheat it though, as it could lose its structural rigidity and become damaged like what almost happened to mine. Upon detailed inspection, I saw no tears or holes in the plastic, so we are good to move forward.
Alright, check it out, boys. A little bit of a tilt because this hose is so strong it's actually pushing it this way, but I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, if I remember correctly, yeah, if you look at the shape of this pump, it is supposed to be kind of at a slight angle. So we're looking good. Our wires are tucked up into this corner here. So even though I have this stiff area where I wasn't able to bend, I was able to get it tucked back there, and it's not going to be in the way of, sealing it back into the engine. So we're tight up here, our collar's tight, our clamps are tight, it's in the body. We're ready to rock and roll. Just need to get this filter on it. Ready to roll, boys. Ready to roll. All right, boards, we're good. Orientation is good. I checked it. Thing's looking bad to the bone. Check that out. I did put the filter on, and there's this little retaining clip on that pin there. The filter's got like this retainer bracket that push into the filter, and it clips onto that little nub there. Then you want to put that metal retaining clip on it. It's a pain in the ass. That's like a 30-minute ordeal right there. Don't look like it, but what I did was I got it pretty straight and then took a little, what is this? I don't know, 6 mil or some shit? Yeah, 6 mil and just bah! Finally was able to push that on. So fuel pump, boys, is officially complete. Real quick, let me just, before I forget, this is really important, guys. Take out this 30 amp and replace it with, actually I got a 25 here. I want to look for a 20. Let me see if I got a 20. Here we go, we got a 20. Put that in instead. If you want to look for some fuses, in the glove box, there's actually some spare fuses that your glove box in the fuse panel will have, and I just pulled that 20 from there. So give that a look in case you need some extra fuses for this puppy. But anyways, let's get this taped up, mounted in place, or actually even fed through the back, because you're going to have to be conscious of all of this is connected now. So it needs to kind of get in there and be routed the proper way so you can line these up. So we'll do that now. Let me just get some double-sided tape on this puppy. That really on there good. We'll be ready to roll. Let's head over to the car. All right, so we're actually going to have to start from here. What we're going to do is just going to place the fuel pump right there, and I'm going to take the relay end. We're going to go up behind this thing here. That's going to give us all the space we need. We'll peel our 3M double-sided tape back. Try to get it on as flat of a surface as possible. We're going right there. All right, like that. All right, we'll get our power ran through there. And I'll just snug that bad boy down. Good. I'm gonna tuck this just right in there like that, down there. Next up we got our 2 triggers here, which I'm gonna start routing just in that general direction. I wanna get those all cleaned up and get a little harness made for them. Power to the fuel pump is right here. We need the ground now from the fuel pump side coming back this way. So, is that this guy here? No, let me grab it. Here it is. And we're gonna break this grounding location loose here. Just like that. We're gonna run it up and in. Get our nut back on. Beautiful. We're in, baby. That's not going anywhere. Love it. All right, now I'm just gonna spend a little time to get these 3 cables together, the 2 triggers and the power running to the fuel pump. I'm just gonna take some zip ties to them until we get to about the opening of the chair there and just keep it all tucked and organized. So I'm gonna run some zip ties down, just kind of keep things as organized as I can. All right, we got our power routed, fuse is tucked back there, ground is up here, and we're pretty much good all the way down. We're gonna tuck into that corner there and underneath. So now we just gotta tap our triggers to the OEM factory harness and we're good to go. All right guys, we are ready to go back in. I'm gonna try to get you from this angle. It's not that easy, but it's the best I got. Let me see if 3X, yeah, it's gonna get you a little closer, but I'm gonna have to sit more or less like right here, like I did earlier to hammer that, that collar down, but we're gonna do what we gotta do, all right? So let's drop this in and get this fuel pump finally installed. All right, let's just grab this puppy. Just keep an eye out for the orientation of the nipple here because it will go towards feed. So I'm gonna kind of come in at an angle to get the level sensor in there first. And there's a baffle inside there so that you don't have to deal with fuel starvation if things start flailing around. So I need a light. Seems as if I'm caught up on something. Let's take a look. That kind of just fell down right into place. Just get the collar on it now. Let's see. Oh, fuck me.
The one thing about wiring that I hate is this part. I don't know what to call it, but it's like you need to think of every step before committing. Once the wires are together, they can't be cut, so everything needs to go back in a specific order. I put the fuel pump in without putting the wires through the collar. I went back, removed the relay and undid the terminal connectors, then went to reinstall the collar again, only to do the same mistake, this time with the grommet that's connected to the metal cover covering the fuel pump. Everything needs to be thought about because the wires need to stay intact and fit through whatever you are working on. Anyways, I suffer, so you don't. Also, installing the fuel pump requires removing the inner seal that's attached to the lid of the fuel pump and first installing it into a black plastic ring that sits inside the tank. Then you can go in for installation. Once the fuel pump is finally dropped in, we can plug in our OEM harness to maintain our fuel level sensor and reinstall our hose with a new clamp. We can finally close our cover and tighten it down. Lastly, a quick tapping of our trigger wires. White for power, brown for ground. Let's throw the relay back to the trunk for the 3rd time and button everything back up.
Killtrocity.
A quick clean and we can finally put our seats back in and reinstall our trunk liner. We did it, boys. We are finally finished with our fuel system upgrade. Part 6 finally done, boys, in the books. Fuel filter is finally complete. Man, what a fiddly job this was. It wasn't that bad, it didn't take that long, but it was just the location of being in the car, hunched over, hitting the ring, trying to get the fuel pump on and off, having to route the wires beforehand, like everything was just kind of a pain. And I don't know what it is about August, but this definitely feels like the hottest month. I'm sweating on my fingers when I was working on those wires. It was a mess. So I'm glad to have it done. Very important step. You literally cannot turbo the car without an upgraded fuel pump because all the new air you're pushing in this thing, as a lot of you guys may know, engines are run off an air-fuel ratio, and with all the new air we're putting in it, if you don't have the fuel to mix, you're done. So we need to have the fuel pump pushing more fuel for all the new air we're pushing in it. So really important step, small step, but a very important one. It's finally done. So by the time you guys are watching this, episode 5 is already done. All the plumbing is back on the car. As you guys might have remembered in the earlier part of this episode, I mentioned I'm doing this in between the welding getting done on episode 5. So I've yet to actually finish episode 5 right here, right now.
But I think it's gonna be super nice. I have some ideas in mind that we're gonna go over now when I shoot that part, but yeah guys, super excited. Up next we have our wiring, boost gauges, electronic boost controller, which we're gonna be running, which is a lot of fun. And so we're gonna be cleaning up this engine bay, getting the wiring even more organized. And yeah, we're getting close, boys. The boxes and the mess of stuff I had under that table is very small now. So anyways, boys, hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like, boys, and subscribe. We're growing this channel slowly, but it's getting there. We're almost at 2K, and I bet you by the time this posts, maybe we've broken 2K already. So I really appreciate all the support, guys. It's been freaking awesome. All the sweating I've been doing in this, I have really been enjoying it. It's been really cool to connect with you guys in the comments and stuff. A lot of good support. So really appreciate it, boys. Hopefully by the time this car is done, we could be spanking some new GT3s. Who knows? I mean, this is supposed to be making some good power to the wheels, so it could be a lot of fun. So I got a big gang of Porsche crew in town, and when we're done with this, we're gonna be doing some POV vlog style footage of us riding around with them and do a little pulls and see what I could compete with. So be pretty cool to bring this baby up to something a little bit more big to the big leagues like that. You know what I mean? So anyways, I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll see you guys in part 7. Peace.